Take my hand. I'll lead you into death. By a whisper in the shadows. On AO3. Episode 10. Chapter 6. The constant chattering in his ear had Katsuki almost regret taking the calm. He was 5 minutes into his walking to the designated spot. Nearly there, and all he wanted to do was yell at everyone to shut the fuck up. At least it allowed him to walk somewhat normal, knowing Reaper had not yet been spotted. He stopped in his path, glancing around, pretending to look at his phone for directions. He didn't have to fake it too much, considering he had genuinely never been in the area before. It was a little old country section, where a bunch of buildings came to meet, surrounding Katsuki in a circle. Though he couldn't see them, he knew the buildings were full of reinforcements, the rooftops surrounding him as well. Reaper has still not been spotted. T-minus 2 minutes till signal for Ground Zero to leave. Sounded in his ear. He kept his face straight as he looked at his own timer that was given to him. His heart was pounding as he waited. But no matter how scared he genuinely felt, he was praying for Reaper to show. He went to move off again, tripping on his untied shoelace, bending down, grumbling to himself, and preparing to hear the signal. He heard the voice in his ear again. Out of time. Release the pigeons in 3, 2... Wait. There was Mirko. 9th story. 2nd west building. Katsuki refused to look. He held his ground, slowly standing up and walking in the direction he had been told. Is that... Fuck. Aizawa. Release the goddamn crows. Get my kid out of there. Move, move, move. Team West 1 and 2 are closest. 9th story, 2nd west building, move now. Katsuki's heart missed a beat as a murmur of crows were released from one of the rooftops. Pigeons for home. Crows for Reaper. Crows meant Katsuki was to run, and run fast, back the way he came. He was frozen. He willed his legs to move. The comms were going crazy around him. Shinsou's voice echoed in his head. Don't do anything stupid. Sorry, eyebags. He whispered before whipping towards the mentioned building. He could hear multiple voices questioning why he knew where to look, if and how he had comms. He could hear them saying how they were close in on the level, both from above and below, outside and inside, surrounding Reaper from all angles. He couldn't see anything properly, the setting sun shining straight into his eyes, but he looked to where he believed Reaper was. He looked and screamed, Katsuki, no, run! Izuku! A shot was fired. Reaper felt his eyes go wide. He missed the shot. He never, ever missed the shot. Why did he miss the shot? Izuku. That name. He knew that name. Why did he know that name? How did he know that name? Green hair, blonde eyes, green eyes, red eyes, red eyes, red eyes, and fireworks. Red eyes and caramel. Laughing. Izuku, Zuku, Kachan, he whispered. He shook his head. He didn't know Izuku. He didn't know Kachan. Reaper was on a mission. Eliminate the mom boy. He was not given a name. He was given a job, and he was to complete it. Eliminate the blonde boy. Reaper raised the sniper again, but the boy had moved, disappeared. He inhaled sharply, searching for his target. His target that he had missed. He growled, lowering the fast-approaching footsteps. He grabbed his sniper, stuck it snugly in the back, and ran towards the door. They burst it open. Heroes and soldiers stomped in. More doors slammed open, windows breaking, shouts surrounding him as different capture weapons shot forward. Wood, red wire, chain, all missed in a void. Scarf, the only thing to catch his wrist. Reaper pulled hard, slicing it off with knife. He ran back towards the window. Shots fired around him. There were shouts and screams, but he didn't listen. His arms came up and he jumped. Glass smashed around him. Pain. Pain was temporary. He turned, shooting out his grappling hook, to pull himself back to the window. His gloves helped him climb. He moved fast, didn't look behind, scaling the building with practice ease. He pulled himself onto the roof. More soldiers avoided the bullets, twisting a wrist, broken a leg, running away, always. Don't get caught. Explosions from behind. Reaper failed. No, he must keep running. Scarf again, around his ankles. He was dragged back a number of feet before his knife cut through. He could hear them calling to him. He would not answer. He would run. He could get away. He will not be caught. Another explosion. Another stumble. Then two scarves. One in his wrists, the other in his legs, yanking him off his feet. He dug the knife into the roof, his other hand pulling hard on the wrapping, halting the knife out of the ground. He was then dragged back again. He cut through the leg strap. The owner of the wrist strap got closer. Eraserhead. His eyes flashed red. Red. Another explosion. Another shout. Izuku! Reaper flung his knife wildly at the blonde, who had passed the other scarf holder. Eraserhead still had his wrist. Under the knife cut through the scarf. It was flung out at him, but Reaper would not be caught. Block, strike, block, straight. He caught the man on his chest, then thrust a long, strong kick to his chest. Eraserhead was flung backwards, but not without grabbing Reaper's hood. A shout, startled, was heard from them. Reaper raised his head to the blonde boy. Wide red eyes met green. Reaper felt his chest burn. No, Reaper cannot get caught. He tugged his knife at Eraserhead, who rolled to dodge. Reaper pulled out a smoke bomb. Darkness surrounded them and he ran. Reaper ran and he didn't look back. Reaper ran to a dangerous fate, an unknown feeling that he was running away from safety echoing in his bones. One word following him the whole way. Kachan. Reaper's arms were sore. The cuffs on his wrists cut deep, red dripping down over already dried streaks. He wasn't sure how long he had been hanging. He felt as though his arms were being pulled off his body. He was sure one shoulder had popped, any inch of movement sending excruciating pain through his body. His mind was fuzzy. One of those white coats had injected something into him earlier, something that made his blood feel like it was on fire. It was wearing out, nearly gone now. All that was left was a mind-numbing buzzing through his brain and bones. His toes were robbed raw from the small brushing of concrete below as he hung freely. He wanted to be sick. Already had been. He wanted to cry, but refused. He would not cry anymore. Reaper. No. Izuku. His name was Izuku. His name... What was his name? He screamed as another slash came down his back. I asked you a question, Bunny. Papa's voice sounded from somewhere outside of the room. What is your name? He blinked, licked his lips. Izu... He choked on another scream as the whip came down again. There is no Izuku. Another whip. Another grasping shriek. What is your name? His words were spinning. He couldn't see. He couldn't think. He cried out as the whip came down again. Answer me. Who are you? I can't. I don't. He gasped out, head lolling. He didn't know why they were asking who he was. He didn't know the answer. He could no longer see what was in front of him, the sides of his vision turning black, closing him. He didn't want to go dark. He didn't like the dark. Who is Izuku? He couldn't even scream as the whip came down again. Izuku. He knew that name. He knew... No, he didn't. Who was Izuku? I don't know. He choked out again, spitting out clumps of dark red, blood. I don't know. He whimpered, letting his head hang. All he knew anymore was pain. His ears were ringing so much he missed the whipping level. He missed the door opening again and Papa's sharp footsteps approaching him. He flinched at the feeling of cold hands lifting his head, of long fingernails stroking his hair. He whimpered as lips pushed his forehead, as a thumb rubbed over his own, chapped and bloody. What is your name? Papa asked gently. Whining again, he shook his head. Open your eyes, sweetheart. He did, prying them open through the blood and sweat. He stared at red. Red. Red! That was not the right red. This red was dark and cold, like an old, rotting blood. Not like warm, safe red he remembers. Why does he remember red? Reaper. Papa whispered to him. You are the Grim Reaper. You are Papa's bunny, my pet, my toy. You belong to me. You are Reaper. Reaper choked the name out. Reaper was Reaper. Reaper belonged to Papa. Papa lifted something into Reaper's eyeline. Reaper forced his eyes to stay open and was met with red. The right red. The good red. Who is this, Reaper? Papa questioned. Reaper couldn't help himself. He knew this boy. He knew this blonde. He knew this red. Kachan. He gasped out. Then all he felt was agony. When it stopped, Reaper's head was thrown back as he choked on blood. The metallic taste burned, his eyes watering, his body spasmed as he continued to hang. Abruptly, one of his arms was released from its chains, his already dislocated shoulder snapping further. He garbled a choked cry, eyes rolling back into his head. When he came to again, he instantly knew where he was. He whimpered in protest, attempting to raise himself on the cold, wet floor, but the pain was too much. He collapsed again, looking at Papa's silhouette, illuminated by only light shining through the dark room. He stepped forward, gripping Reaper by the hair. Kachan. He spat in disgust. Is nothing. You are mine, and without me, you are nothing. He threw Reaper's head to the ground before leaving. The boy slammed heavily behind him. Darkness enveloped Reaper. There was nothing but silence. He shivered as he moved to the corner of the room, dragging his achy body. He curled in on himself, on the wet ground. Slowly, he began to hum. He didn't know why he hummed. He didn't know what tune it was, but it eased the pain a little. So Reaper hummed to himself, until he succumbed to his own darkness. A number of hours away from the weeping assassin, a detective sat, hunched over his table unable to sleep. Files were spread across his kitchen table as he held his head in his hands. The day could have gone a lot worse. He understood that. There had been deaths. Miraculously, no one had lost their lives to Reaper that night. That boy, Bakugou, was clearly struggling with something. Something that was clouding his vision. Something that had messed with their capture of Reaper hours before. He didn't blame the boy. He was a child, after all. A child working to become a hero. An already insane pressure. Now with a target on his back, he can understand the pressure would be getting to him. Namasa just wished he didn't understand the reason. He lifted his head, slightly, eyes landing on the young face on the papers in front of him. It was his first major case, fresh out of the academy. His first major case, and he failed. He told him it was all right. It wasn't important. It didn't matter. But it did matter. The boy in the photos mattered, quirkless or otherwise. Namasa may have been blessed with a lie detector quirk, perfect for police work. But he has photometrical memory. He didn't think he'd ever forget those green eyes. He wasn't close to Reaper when Aizawa pulled his hood and goggles off. He could just about make out green curls blowing in the wind. But his eyes, they shone so brightly. Or one of them did. The other was dull, from where he could see it. It all went dark before he could look too close. Aizawa mentioned a large scar running through it, the eye itself cloudy and unseeing. It wasn't until he got home that he started connecting the dots. There was always an itch, something in the back of his mind since the Bakugou boy had brought in the picture. Kachan. Stupid Deku calls me Kachan. It's so annoying. No one else, though, so don't even try. Green. His hair is distinctively green. The same with his eyes, just like his mother's. Midoriya Inko. He felt his heart contract once he realized who the woman doting on the explosive boy was, whose mother she was. Izuku. Izuku! Namasa stared at the photo of the young boy with bright eyes and a bright smile, and prayed the case remained cold. He prayed that this killer, that they had been chasing for years was not this child. He prayed that for once his hunch was wrong. For the first time in his career, Namasa looked at the victim on the page and prayed that they were dead. Midoriya Izuku. I have no words. And I actually have no words because this is devastating. Now I'm scared because I know SA is one of the tags. And this Papa doesn't seem to be very... Okay, well, okay, okay. Well, look, okay. Oh, okay. I don't have much to say other than okay, okay, and okay, and have I mentioned okay and No, I haven't. So, look, this is... Everybody take a breather, have some mental health moment if you need to, because this was a very hard chapter. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.